Greetings.
Hello, everybody. How are you doing?
Hey, it's been a week.
It's been a week.
It has.
It's been a wonderful week.
But we're here. We're back. Episode 3.
Episode
Deep Thoughts.
3. Deep Thoughts with Ben and Owen.
Owen and Ben.
I am Ben.
I am Owen.
And this is Hayden.
Hello there.
Oh!
Our first special guest is Hayden. He is a good friend of ours and will hopefully be an integral part of our career here.
What are we doing exactly?
You're in for a treat, Ben.
I'm in for a treat.
You're in for a
Some
treat.
may call me a Hyrule historian, and that is what I'll be bringing to you here
So-
today.
Some you mean yourself.
So I don't exactly know
Exactly.
what I'm getting into. I was just told we're going over Link,
Yeah.
Zelda. I've never
So-
played it. I've only played like the original. I'm sorry, I'm cutting him off.
Yeah. Don't cut me off again. But yes, The Legend of Zelda. One of Nintendo's most well-liked and appreciated franchises. It's one of the longest-running series. One of the most beloved. And also has one of the most complicated, confusing plot lines ever. And
you would
today,
think it's very basic, but it is nowhere near basic.
it runs very deep, and it decides to mess with time, which messes things up. So today, poor little Ben is going to be subjected to me and Hayden, trying to explain to the best of our ability the Zelda timeline.
Yeah, okay, so like, I've only played the original, and it was like Super Smash Bros. Brawl. It was like that little, what's it called? The little 2-minute
2-minute
Demo.
demo.
I would say.
Yeah, it was a
demo
2-minute
trial
But you-
run.
demo.
You've beaten it
Yeah,
in that 2-minute
in
window.
the 2-minute window. I beat.
Which just goes to show how you would think it's a simple timeline.
But it
Precisely.
doesn't have.
Yeah, there's no plot, there's no dialogue in that game.
I just know he shoots swords.
Only sometimes.
Sometimes.
And that has nothing to do with
Nothing to
the
do with
timeline.
plot. That is useless information.
So, are you ready to get thrown to the wolf's bin?
we're gonna get you deep. We're gonna think deep.
We're going to live deep. This is Deep Thoughts.
Deep thoughts.
Prepare yourself.
Alright. So,
Where do we start?
Before we get into this,
Oh yeah,
a
spoiler
very
warning.
minor spoiler warning. We're gonna be probably talking about the ending of most of the mainline games, just because that's where most of the plot happens. But these are old
as
games.
expected.
These are pretty old games.
Yeah, like, Ocarina of Time came out in 1996.
Yeah.
I believe you should know what's going on by that point.
Most of the recent games are HD remakes too. So like, by this point, if you don't know what happens, you're either like Ben and you're gonna learn about it today, or you should go play them and come back to this later.
Correct. So,
What are we starting off with?
creation.
beginning.
In the beginning. In the beginning, there were 3 goddesses in the land of Hyrule,
Okay.
and they created the world. Now, you would think creation, that would be things like the sky, the earth. You think that would be their realms.
Yeah.
No, they are Din, the goddess of courage. Din
Din's
is the goddess of power.
Yeah.
Faror is the goddess of courage, and Nehru is the goddess of wisdom.
Okay. Well, so my thing is why courage?
Because apparently you need courage to create the world.
Do you?
Because Nintendo was like, you know what? We need some really cool
Adjectives.
adjectives.
It's like ooh, I'm the goddess of power. I have power. Ooh, look at me. I have wisdom. I'm knowledgeable. What do?
I'm brave!
I'm brave.
So they created the world, and they left their mark on it, each in a piece of the Triforce. And the Triforce is 3 triangles made up into 1 triangle, and That's
Commonly,
and apparently
it's commonly referred to as the Golden Triangles. is what
And
it's
it
referenced
has like all that power, all that wisdom, all that courage inside each part of it.
Why would they put it into a Triforce?
to. Because they needed conflict in order to make the games.
Yes, exactly.
Understandable.
Precisely.
So
Yeah, so basically...
they go back to
yeah,
heaven, whatever heaven is in Hyrule.
quotations.
And there's, I guess, a lesser goddess left behind. It's Hylia, who I guess she's called the Golden Goddess, I believe.
I
so
think.
she's just kind of like,
She basically watches over Hyrule.
yeah, the Hylians, that's her people. She watches over them. So in the beginning, it was all prosperous, but then an evil spirit called Demise, which is another adjective.
Yeah. This is... We started the games, by the way. This is Skyward Sword is the first game chronologically.
So Demise,
It's
like
demise.
demise.
It's,
Okay.
It's a real word in the English dictionary.
Well,
I was about to be like,
words
what's
are not
demise?
It's
exactly.
not demise.
Where
It's
where
not
are
like a pack of
Demise
rodents.
is
where are
demise.
the rats?
Hey, demise.
I see the mice, but
The
where are
three blind mice.
where are the rats?
The evil mice.
So, not the three blind mice. Demise
Demise.
has
a Z
monsters, obviously, because he's evil. And these monsters...
He's basically Satan.
Yes, Satan in the Zelda timeline. So he sends his monsters to attack the Highlands. And if you would think of putting the cookies on the top shelf so the children can't reach them, it's essentially that. Hylia takes all the Hylians and the Triforce and shoots it up onto a rock in the sky.
Yeah.
So nobody can touch it.
Yeah. Skyward Sword. It starts off. You've got this big chunk of rock in the sky. And all you can see is clouds and floating islands. And below you is Hyrule. And no one's ever been there. Because if you fell down below the clouds, you die. Until Skyward Sword happens.
Wait.
Yeah, like you're miles above the ground.
It's
How did
like
this rock appear?
miles.
Did she just...
Hylia took it. She just took
Hylia-
it out of the ground and moved
Yeah,
it
like
up.
magic exists in this universe. Like magic is very prevalent.
That's why he can shoot the swords.
Yeah.
But what are the swords?
It's like...
It's energy.
It's
We'll get
energy, yes.
Don't worry about that.
Okay.
It's not important. So yeah, Hylia
So
gets
this
all the
game-
Hylians into this town, lifts up the rock into the sky to protect them from the evil monsters, and then she basically destroys all the monsters, wins the war, and seals away Demise.
Yes.
Where the
Is it in the
chunk of
sword?
land- No, it's
The sword is her spirit, correct?
no. It's close.
Close.
So, the spot where the chunk of land, which is called Skyloft, it's a place in the game, like, it's like a pit. At the very bottom is like a seal, and at certain points in the game, that seal breaks and Demise comes through, or a version of Demise.
Is it that black thing?
It's
okay.
called the Imprisoned.
The imprisoned.
Big
yes.
ugly toe guy.
Yeah. It's a mouth.
Ben
with
has
2
no
feet.
idea what we're talking about.
What are y'all?
Don't worry about it.
What? Big toe god.
So for
He's got
everyone's
big
reference,
toes.
the game we are setting up here is The Legend of Zelda Skyward Sword.
Yeah.
And it's essentially the creation story,
Yeah,
or the
so-
origin story.
So you've got the seal in the ground, and that's basically where all of the evil is mostly contained, and that's where Demise is contained. So the main, what do we call it? The main plot, I guess, of the game is that seal is breaking, and Demise is slowly gaining strength and trying to escape from his seal.
So
So-
do you play as Link?
You
in
play
this?
as the very first iteration of Link.
Right,
Very
so
logical.
to explain, Hylia, like, is wounded in this battle.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, to preserve my spirit, I will have a reincarnation of myself come back, and I will also have place this sword. It's called the Goddess Sword, eventually called the Master Sword. But this sword, whoever wields it will be like Hylia's chosen hero, and there will be constant iterations of the chosen hero and constant iterations of Hylia's spirit.
Yes,
Just throughout
this is
time.
setting. This is
So,
setting the stage for
That
future
is
games.
Link and Princess Zelda. So this is the first iterations of both of them.
So, like, is Zelda, like...
Zelda's like a 17-year-old girl in this game.
In other games, she's like 12.
What?
Sometimes an adult. Ben, you have to understand, each of these games...
They are not the same.
They're not the same. The only time...
It's not Mario, where you get the same Mario every time.
The only time where 2 or more games will be closely related timeline-wise are direct sequels. Otherwise, they could be thousands of years apart chronologically.
You will see. There's a lot of chronology.
So, for most part, each game is a new reiteration of the hero, the princess, and Ganon. Which we'll get into that. We'll get into that.
So do you want to give some context onto how we get to the surface in Skyward Sword?
Yeah.
A brief context, maybe?
So basically, Skyward Sword starts off with the tutorial. You run around, and then... I can't remember what happens. It's been a while since I've played. But you end up with the goddess sword. Yeah, that's... Zelda gets, like, taken away.
Yes.
She falls... Yeah.
Zelda falls off the rock, essentially.
There's this big, like, dark thunderstorm, basically. And... Oh, this is important. They fly around on big birds.
What?
Big red birds.
Yeah, so, like... I don't know how to explain this to you, really. But they're like vehicles, basically. So you get on the bird and you can fly around with it through the sky. But the birds can't go below the clouds because these are thick clouds. Like really
It's a protection
thick.
layer.
Yeah.
So I guess the birds are, just the fun aspect of this game.
Yeah, they're really...
But we just never see these birds ever again.
Not really. I don't think so.
We'll get to that.
What?
That's a plot point.
That's a plot point?
So these birds are important.
The birds are important to the story.
Yes. We'll get to that later.
In what
We'll
way?
get to it later, Ben. We're at the beginning here.
Okay.
So you got the birds flying around. There's like a tournament or something, and then this thunderstorm knocks Zelda off her bird down below the clouds, and everyone's freaking out because that means death. So Link gets hold of the goddess sword, which has this really annoying spirit inside named Fi, whatever. It's Fi. That's how it's spelled. Fi. I don't know.
I don't even know.
Fi
Fo.
Why y'all looking at me? I can't pronounce that.
But so Fi, I say Fi. Fi basically guides you as the chosen hero down to the surface world using a paraglider. No, it's not a paraglider yet. Skyward Sword, it's just a cloth, basically. A sailcloth.
Which in many Zelda games, a staple weapon or tool is the paraglider. So there's a lot of things that are like, oh, this is what this used to be.
He basically just jumps off from a ledge and he just kind of holds up this cloth and just kind of glides
It's
down.
his bed sheets.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm glad physics don't work in this game.
They don't. So Link glides down to the surface world of Hyrule. He glides down there, and then he goes to 3 different areas, each with like a magical temple. And at each temple, he upgrades the goddess sword, basically, to gain the powers of the 3 goddesses that were originally made Hyrule.
So the Triforce?
Not the Triforce. That's different. Basically, like, the goddesses can give special blessings, I guess, if that makes any sense. So there's 3 fires that you have to visit to upgrade your sword.
Oh, yeah.
And you basically enchanting your sword, and by the end of it, you have the Master Sword, which is what appears in every game after.
So he doesn't have to upgrade it after that?
No. The Master Sword is like the end. That's like your end goal. Once he has the Master Sword, which is also known as
it's
the
like
sword,
John Wick on everyone else.
It's known as the sword that seals the darkness, and it's known as this because it can kill darkness, basically, or seal it away. So once he gets the Master Sword, enough time has passed that the Prince of the Underworld, basically, is what he calls himself,
Yeah, his
He-
name is
he's had-
Aganahim, right? Or
I don't
no,
remember.
Girahim.
Girahim.
That's a different
He's got
name.
a big tongue. But he's
Yeah,
a
he does.
humanoid. Yeah, he's this human looking dude.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah, so by this point in the game, this is the end of the game. He's had enough time to basically use the wisdom power of Zelda to resurrect Demise. And we are skipping a lot of plotline here for the sake of time, because there's time that gets messed with. You kill Demise, but then they go back in time because Demise isn't dead in the past, so let's go to the past. And they revive Demise. Demise has a big, strong, muscular human form. That's what you fight. You kill Demise with the Master Sword. And in the final cutscene, as he's getting sealed away, he basically plants a curse upon Link and Zelda. And the long and short of the curse is that for forever, I think he says forever. Yeah, he looks scary.
Oh my gosh!
Ben has pulled up a picture of Demise.
He's buff.
Yeah, he's terrifying.
That's a
And he
woman.
has fire hair.
Yeah, he has fire hair.
Why? What? Why? What?
Yeah, he's scary.
Why is that a woman?
Yeah, so
Fan art.
Okay.
so he plants this curse that basically says, for all of eternity, my ancestors will come back and battle your ancestors or something like that.
It's like my
Basically,
hatred is
yeah.
gonna follow your reincarnations throughout history.
Yeah, he's basically saying any time that the hero of legend and the princess of legend are reincarnated, I too will be incarnated in spirit, and we will
So
clash.
no one can
basically.
ever have a peaceful life.
Yay!
It's always like, oh great, we're about to have another war.
So that's Skyward Sword. That's the beginning of the plot line.
All right,
Leads us down. There's a few games in between there.
I can give you some knowledge in that area.
Yeah.
So basically, one key thing that happens is it's called the Interloper War. It happens.
I don't know about this. This is news to me.
This is
Essentially,
news to me.
It's like, essentially, it's a bunch of dark spirits that they attack, the Highlands. It's like the first attack since Demise, and the sage Rauru, who comes into different other different games. He's the Sage of Time. He imprisons the interlopers in this sacred realm, which is, what's the sacred realm exactly? It's like
It's not exactly a place you can go to. It's just like this a realm.
right.
Like it's not like
It's like a limbo.
it's kind of like heaven, like or purgatory, I guess. Like
Well,
it's
you do go to
yeah.
it eventually.
It's a spiritual place. It's not like
So it's like a realm.
yeah,
Oh,
like
correct.
it's
the
not like
sacred
you
realm.
can like travel there.
So it's like
It's like a spiritual
Because
so it's like
alternate reality.
so it's like a
basically.
sacred realm.
And in
Yes.
fact, you can't travel there because. So he blocks the interlopers in there, and then he seals the interlopers in there with the Master Sword, which functions as the key. And the Master Sword is housed in the Temple of Time, and that is how the Temple of Time is created, which is basically like the biggest, one of the most iconic places in all of Hyrule. The Temple of Time.
next to Hyrule
is-
Castle.
Yeah, it's like always there, and it's always the gateway to the sacred realm, and it almost always houses the Master Sword.
Sometimes it's even a dungeon.
Right.
Those are the fun ones.
There's usually, it's everywhere, and so after that, so the sacred realm is sealed. There's like an era of peace, and then I think something else happens, and Hyrule is saved by these people that come from the sky. They're called the Minish. I don't
not
know
the-
why. I think it's like aliens.
They're not the people that are from the.
No, those people got brought back down to the ground.
Oh yes,
actually,
I forgot to mention. No.
Yeah, they
Okay.
got the rock got brought back down to the
Well,
ground.
part of it.
and they're like, the world is like peaceful now. Y'all can
Yeah, at the end
go
of
in
Skyward Sword, they come back down to Earth, basically. So they're no longer in the sky.
there. So yeah, so these are different people, and they come back and
These
they
are like
save them.
little tiny people.
Right. So that happens,
Like,
and then
like magnifying glass tiny. Like a teeny tiny.
like think
Like the Smurfs.
the Lilliputs in Gulliver's Travels.
What? Why? Why would they make them tiny?
Because it's a fun game gimmick.
I don't know. I think they're aliens personally, but they come down and then they save Hyrule. All that Hyrule celebrates the Minish people, and 100 years later, Link is reincarnated for the first time, and one of the Minish, his name is Vadi. Vadi is a little power hungry, and he finds a way to turn himself into like a demon and kidnap the first incarnation of Zelda. So Link here, I assume Vadi is supposed to be kind of like a successor to Demise,
Yeah.
and he's just a different kind than we
in
usually see.
In almost every game, the big bad villain is a reincarnation of Demise in some way. Most of the time, it's Ganon.
Well, yeah, and I think that Ganon is because he stays alive the longest.
Okay,
out of them.
but low key, Vadi looks cute.
Ooh, he looks like a emo.
Well,
kid.
not when he turns into the demon.
Oh,
So yeah,
that's
There you
even
go.
cuter.
yeah. That. Where
You guys
where
can't
is
see this, but it's like an eyeball with a lot of bat wings.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd say it's like. Is that like
So
its
Link-
tail?
Link
Looks like a scorpion
uses
tail.
Link uses the Sage of the Minish, which is like literally a hat. It's a hat, and he always wears a hat. And this hat is like a bird on top of it. So the bird hat like helps him. That's like his partner for this game. Helps him defeat Vadi and get to the Minish, and save the Minish, save Hyrule. I think the hat can turn him really small, so like the hat will shrink him down to Minish size. So that game happens, and then we have that's the Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. So the next game we have is the Legend of Zelda: Four Swords, which is a direct sequel to the Minish Cap. In the Four Swords, Link and Zelda are visiting the temple where Vadi is sealed. I think it's called the Temple of Winds, which wind is another big concept in Hyrule. Why? I don't really know, but it is.
They love wind.
I love time and wind and like light and dark, and that's it.
That's the four elements.
No, there's more.
Also, there's a lot of
but
elements.
like that's the ones that care about the most.
Fire and ice are
Until
also
the Dark
things.
Nation attacked.
So in the Four Swords, Link and Zelda are visiting the temple, and they don't realize that Vadi got resurrected somehow. I don't remember how exactly he got resurrected,
How
but
don't
he did.
they recognize that a giant eyeball...
They don't see him, so they walk.
They
in.
don't see a giant eyeball demon.
They walk in.
Well, they were looking at
and
their feet.
this
you
is
know?
exactly what happens. They walk in. They're like, "Here's the sword that sealed him." Wait, where's the sword? Vadi's hand comes from the sky and like just grabs
What?
Zelda. And then Link finds the sword, and when he touches it, it splits him into four parts.
Oh,
So there's four Links in this game. That's why it's called the Four Swords. So there's a green Link, a red Link, a blue Link, and a purple Link, and that's the clothes they wear.
Four
that's how you tell them apart.
players.
exactly.
That's exactly why they made it, to like demonstrate four-player
That's the
play.
game's gimmick.
Yes. So
You'll
Link.
find that most of the big plot points come from a gimmick because they needed a new gimmick for each
Yeah,
game.
exactly.
That's why it's so complicated, because instead of doing like focusing on let's make this a good plot, they focus on let's make gimmicks.
Link needs he needs to find three things. So he goes to three different areas and he finds these things. It's MacGuffins, general plot like points. And once he has that, the four Links fight Vadi. They kill Vadi, I believe, once and for all. No, he might be in a later game. I don't remember. And so they kill
Probably
him.
referenced.
And they fuse the Links back together, and that's fine. And like that's it. So that ends the plot points of it's the Force era. So then we move to
This is also the end of the simple to understand timeline.
right. So this is the end of linear timeline. Then we get to the era of the hero time, which just about sets up what we're about to experience.
Enter Ocarina of Time.
So essentially, Hyrule is in a major civil war. Chaos is going. It's bad.
Everywhere.
So this woman takes her son. She leaves Hyrule, the city of Hyrule. That's where the castle is. She leaves the city. She goes to Kokiri Forest, which is where the Kokiri people live. They're like forest elves essentially.
It's a
And
magical forest.
They're ruled by a tree called the Deku tree. And she brings her son there, and she's like, take care of him. And she dies. So this is the next incarnation of Link. This is the Hero of Time. So...
This is where he gets the name Hero of Time.
Correct. So do you want to go through Link's first part of Ocarina of Time?
Yeah, so Ocarina of Time is basically split in half.
What?
You play the first half of the game trying to open the Sacred Realm, or get to it. Because you start off as a child. You start off as a child Link, and you make your way out of Kokiri Forest into the castle where you meet Child Zelda. And at this point, the three reincarnations have happened. You have Link, you have Zelda, and then you have Ganon.
Well, Ganondorf.
Ganondorf. That's his human form.
He's a Gerudo, and Gerudo were like the desert people.
So like
It was literally a desert like village of only women. But every 100 years there's one dude born.
Well, yeah,
and
no.
it just so happens that one dude was
The evil
evil
king.
evil reincarnated.
That's like the ogre. What is it? Ogres are like. I guess they're ogres. It's some
Like
type of.
Shrek?
Yeah, no. They're like these.
No, they don't look like ogres.
No, they look like pigs. They're like pig people.
They don't look like pigs.
No,
either.
they look like human.
Like I don't know. It's like this pig.
They're like buff
thing, I guess.
redheads.
But like,
Yeah.
there's only a male born every like 100 years or something.
Maybe they copied it.
Maybe. Who knows?
Anyways,
Sounds
so
familiar.
so Ganondorf is in the castle talking to the king. Zelda sees this and basically says, "He's evil. I know it." So she recruits you to obtain the 3 sacred stones. I think that's what they're
Which you
called.
have one at that point because the
Yes.
Great Deku Tree is dying,
The
and he's
the
like,
Deku Tree knows that this is happening.
Deku scrub.
that's where Deku Scrub comes from.
That's an enemy in the game.
Wow.
Yeah, so you have to collect the 3 sacred stones to open the Sacred Realm. Because in the Sacred Realm, the Triforce is there. And as legend goes, whoever touches a Triforce, whether they have a pure heart or evil heart, they get whatever they want. So Zelda knows that Ganondorf is trying to get the Triforce for evil purposes. So her plan is to get to it before him, to stop his evil plan taking over the world. To do that, you got to open the Sacred Realm. So about halfway through the game is when this happens. You get the 3 sacred stones. You're still as Link here, as child Link. You insert the sacred stones into the Temple of Time. There's a little monument, and then some stuff happens, and then the door opens to the Master Sword, which is in a pedestal. You pick it up, and then you kind of black out, and you wake up in the Sacred Realm. And the spirit Rauru, or however I can't say it. Rauru.
So I'll backtrack a bit and explain that Link's child years, he finds like a lot of people that are eventually going to be crucial to the plot point. He goes to Death Mountain where the Gorons live.
Yes,
They're like
I
rock
forgot
people. He goes to the Zora Sea where the fish people live. And like all of these people, he meets people.
They're different races, basically.
He meets all kinds of people.
The birds.
He goes to Kakariko Village. That's that's just like a little. At this point, it's where the Sheikah tribe lives, and the Sheikah tribe are like, they're almost like, I'd consider them like Jedi in.
That's
the
a
Legend.
good analogy.
Because they are like,
kind of.
they're very spiritual, mystical people.
Can they
But
lift
they
things
keep
with
to
their
themselves.
mind?
No.
They don't have the
Well-
force.
No.
They don't have the midichlorians.
They don't have like telekinesis, but they're like ninjas,
Yes.
Oh.
and they're very closely associated with the royal family.
So
Do
once
they have
Link,
laser swords?
No.
once Link gets the 3 sacred stones from the Kokiri, the Gorons, and the Zoras, he goes back to the castle, and at the castle, Ganondorf is like barreling out of the castle on a horse. I think he's chasing after something.
He's chasing Zelda.
He's chasing Zelda. So the royal family is fleeing. Like, you already know something went down. So Link hurries up to the Temple of Time. He puts in those the sacred stones, and he pulls the Master Sword.
He lifts it up,
And
And
then
as he's lifting it up,
he's in the sacred realm.
he blacks out and wakes up.
And Raru's there, and Raru explains to him, like, he gives him some history, some context.
He says something like, when you open the sacred realm, Ganondorf was able to enter because you were unconscious.
Right. He was like, you messed it up.
He basically explained, you as a child were not worthy of the Master Sword. So the Master Sword put you to sleep for 7 years.
So the Sacred Realm's formed in the Dark World at this point, right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. That'll come in later.
Because Ganondorf went in, took the Triforce, and made his wish, basically, and took over the world as the King of Evil.
Wait, he won?
Yes, he won.
Yes, he wins. So like he said, when you wake up, it's 7 years in the future.
And
you're like an adult. You leave the Temple of Time. The Hyrule Castle is in ruins. The town that was once like full of people.
Hyrule Castle is not. It's not just in ruins. It's fully converted into a dark, evil castle.
Yeah, the town is in ruins, and like all the people that were once in the town,
most of them
there's
died.
just a bunch of zombies, and like the whole thing's in ruin. You're like, what is going on? So you start leaving, and at one point Raru can turn into an owl. So there's an owl that guides you.
I didn't even make that connection.
Yeah, no, that's
that makes so much sense.
Yeah, he turns his head and it looks like the owl's the owl has like these feathers that look like a mustache when he flips his head.
We're all learning here in Deep Thoughts.
So, right. This is always educational.
What? So Link loses.
This
is halfway through the game, mind you.
What? He loses?
I mean, in all sorts of battles in our lives, we have to reach their initial plan loses. Back against the wall before something big, something good can come out of it.
Yeah.
So.
But now, at this point,
I don't know if it's the owl or if it's Raru.
I think it's Raru himself.
It's Sheik.
So it is. That's right.
Who's Sheik?
Sheik is one of the Sheikah. He's a ninja that he comes to Link in the Temple of Time and he tells him, "Look, we've got a problem here. You need to awaken the 7 sages. Raru's one. He's the Sage of Time. You gotta get the other sages." And
there's 7 stages,
so that we can enter the Dark World, attack Ganon, and then give you the power to defeat Ganon. So Sheik tells Link that the first stage you're gonna want to go to is your old childhood friend Saria. So Saria is a Kokiri girl. So Link goes to Saria at the Forest Temple. What happens in Kokiri Forest in the past 7 years? Something.
So basically, each of the places that he went to before, something awful happened.
Yeah.
So the Kokiri, what happened to Kokiri? Monsters invaded.
Yeah, because the Deku Tree is dead.
Isn't supposed to happen.
The Deku Tree is dead, so the Forest Sanctuary is kind of like.
Yeah, Deku Tree dies.
It's kind of messed up.
Very shortly after you enter the Sacred Realm as a kid, he had like a.
He dies before. He dies. You see him die.
Oh yeah, that's right. You see him die. So like his protection diminishes.
And
while
so
you're
then
gone.
it's just like a forest.
The
now.
monsters.
It's not like some sanctuary.
The monsters come in, which is really bad because there's all these kids there. So you have to hide in their homes.
They look like kids. They're probably like 100,000 years old.
Probably so.
They're forest like spirits.
So kids get murdered?
No.
I don't know if any of them actually die. They're definitely oppressed.
Yes.
Because of the monsters.
Yeah. So you go there.
The greatest form of oppression in government.
You get the spirit there. And then next is the Gorons. So at Death Mountain,
so Saria becomes the sage of the forest.
I don't know.
I think it's the sage of the forest. The forest sage.
Forest sage. That's what it is.
Saria enters the sacred realm.
This isn't like important information.
You have to go through the forest temple, reawaken Saria. Who do you fight there?
At the Forest Temple?
Yeah.
Forest Temple, you're fighting Phantom Ganon.
Oh yeah. So you
So
see him.
that's where he like meets. He's like, "Oh, I guess you're awake now. This is
Right.
annoying. Let me kill you." And
So
he doesn't kill you.
then you go to Death Mountain, and what's wrong in Death Mountain?
you go to Death
that's
Mountain.
Where the Gorons are.
So the Gorons eat rocks.
Oh, I remember this.
They eat rocks as
Why?
that's their only diet.
So Ganon.
That's what they do.
Ganon wants them to join his cause.
Or die.
They choose not to. He shuts off
Yeah.
their food
so
supply.
He
So
basically
they're starving and dying.
he blocks off the road he blocks off access to the mountain, like the inside of the mountain, so they can't go in there and get the edible rocks, the nutritious rocks. So they're slowly dying off. You can't even like find most of them when you go there at first because they're like
Dead.
on the brink of death or dead.
Wow, this is a rocky situation.
Yeah. So you save the Gorons. You get the
And
spirit there.
the chieftain of the Gorons is Darunia, and he becomes the Sage of Fire.
Yeah.
So
And then next is next. Yeah,
next is the Water Temple.
Next is the Water Temple,
which is iconically known as the hardest Zelda dungeon ever.
because of swim controls, which are atrocious.
If they're anything like any water level, suck.
Yeah, so you go to first you go to the Zora place.
Yeah, what's going on in
Zora's domain is frozen over.
yeah. that's
Everyone's
right.
basically
In ice.
they're not dead technically.
They're
They're just frozen
hibernating
in ice. So you have to defeat like a mini boss basically to get the ice gone, and she comes, basically tells you it's not gonna happen now, or even soon, but they will thaw out now that you've defeated whatever was causing the ice.
And the water sage is Ruta.
Okay, wait.
Ruta, who
Kinda
was,
skipping around
she
here.
was like a princess in
The Zora
Zora's
princess.
domain.
Yeah, no. I have a question.
What's your question?
She also hit on you.
Is
when
Sheik
you were a
like
kid.
gender neutral?
No,
Because
Sheik's
We'll
a
get
dude.
to
You-
well.
Sheik's a dude. Sheik
Is a dude.
because he
But-
said she and you said he.
Well,
We'll get to that later, Ben. We'll get to that later.
I'll explain in a little while.
When we get there.
Think Bosch from Star Wars, which you may not understand that, but
No, I think I got it.
Anyways,
Anyway.
the Water Temple. You get the shrine, or not shrine, the Sage of Water,
yeah. And so
You get the sage
yeah, you're just
medallion.
getting sages.
and then
So you got 4 out of the 7 right now. Then you go to back to you go
Where
to
is
Kakariko Village.
no.
No, you go to Kakariko. Well, at this point you can go either way. But
1, 2,
objectively, the right.
No,
5.
Yeah.
because that's 2 left.
Well, no, the third one.
That's true. That's
yeah.
true. That's true.
Carry the 3.
We'll get to it.
It's not that hard.
Alright.
So Kakariko
Math is
Village,
hard.
you go back there. It's all the people from Hyrule. They've all like fled, and they're in this village. Why is Ganon not attacking the village? I have no idea. But they all live there now. So that's at the foot of Death Mountain. The temple here is
Well, so there's
The
like
Shadow Temple,
There's like
or the-
there's a split here. So this is
this is like the objectively.
yeah.
like,
You get to choose
preferred-
which dungeon you do next. So you can do
This is the better way.
you can do the light or
this
the
is
dark.
my
basically.
way. It's the better way.
You do shadow first?
I do Shadow first. It feels
I
fitting.
can't remember which
it
one I do
feels
first.
fitting to go to.
I think I do shadow first.
Yeah, it fits. So first you go under the well.
We'll just speed through this.
Under the well is like the scariest part of Zelda ever. Like there's
It's
like
not.
it's considered to be because there's a bunch of like enemies and bosses that are jump scares.
Oh yeah.
There's also like a lot of blood and like weird like
Oh,
there's weird
There's
stuff
like
down
medieval
there.
torture devices there.
Yeah, and so if you're like a 5-year-old playing this game, you're probably
You're
freaked
gonna get
out.
nightmares.
5-year-old in the 90s, got a Nintendo 64 for Christmas. You're playing this.
Ben's having a panic attack right now.
He's a little stressed.
He's very stressed out.
So the under the well gives you I think it gives you the Lens of Truth, which gives you the ability to find the entrance to the Shadow Temple. The Sage of Who is it? It's Impa. It's Impa.
It's Impa.
So in the Shadow,
Impa.
Impa is
A Sheikah
she's
royal
a Sheikah
attendant.
warrior. She's like the ambassador of the Sheikah to the royal family. She's like Zelda's mentor
Basically.
a lot. So, Impa's a huge character. She's in Skyward Sword.
She's in every game.
She's in a lot of games.
Every
and
game.
always is like a staple character that is a mentor to both Link and Zelda. So you get Impa. She's the Shadow Sage. You pulling up a picture of Impa?
Yeah.
It's IMPA.
Yeah, there you go. So, and then you go to an area you've never been yet. You go to Ganondorf's Origins. You go to the desert. You go to Gerudo Desert. And in the desert, you go to the village of only women. But I think, don't they not let you in? No, this is the kicker. This is the kicker here.
Kicker.
So, you cannot go in because you're a full-grown man. They only let women and children in. So you have to take the Master Sword, put it back in, and go back as a child. You go back in time as a child.
This is when you start having to mess with time in order to progress in the game.
Right.
It's really cool.
You have to go back as a child and find a way to create an entrance for you to get in as an adult. So you infiltrate Gerudo Village, the village of just women, and they trust you. They're like, you're fine, you're a child.
No. That's
They
not
don't
what
trust you?
happens.
What?
They don't let children in.
Yeah, they do.
No, they don't.
Oh!
Because you go there and they will capture you.
No, you have...
You
the
have
only way
to-
you get in is
The only way you get in
is a place that's small enough for a child. That's why you have to go back.
You don't
right?
go. You don't go to Gerudo
Yeah.
Village as a child. You go there as an adult. That's the only place you can go because that's when the
But you
bridge-
have
that's
to
when
turn
the
back
bridge
to a
exists.
child at some point.
Yeah. So you go to Gerudo Village as an adult, and there you infiltrate by basically shooting the Gerudo warriors or guards, so they get knocked out, and you can go inside, and you have to beat like this leader Gerudo, and she's impressed with your skill to the point of she gives you a pass.
Is it Naburu?
No, it's not the brew. She's like a rebel. So then you go into the desert. You go into the desert, and at the end of it is what is it called? The Desert Temple?
It's called the
Desert
Spirit
Colossus.
Temple. Yeah, Desert Colossus is down there.
Yeah, so you go there, and you activate a warp point. So there, this is where you come back as a child. You don't go to Gerudo Village.
Okay. Oh, so the warp point.
Yeah, you set the warp
just-
point. Because you
Okay.
can't go to Gerudo Village because there's no bridge there at that point.
Oh, okay. The bridge gets repaired.
The
as
bridge
an
gets
adult.
built
That's
while
why
you're
you
asleep.
It's weird. You gotta mess.
So
with
you
the
do all
timeline
that.
a
You
lot.
you meet Naburu, which is like a rebel Gerudo.
So they all hate everyone else, but Naburu's
So most of the
fine with everyone
Gerudo are on Ganon's side, but Naburu is not. So she's trying to get into the temple to get whatever is in there to try and stop Ganon. But the boss of that place is like a pair of witches.
It's Ganondorf's mom, mother's.
Mothers? Wait,
It's-
that's another topic.
well-
How was he born?
We don't know. No one knows. It's
How is
magic.
anyone born there? I don't know. I
Yeah. Well, don't worry about it.
There's only women.
just pretend like it doesn't.
Do they clone?
Maybe.
We have no idea.
But yeah,
It's
Naburu.
one of the age-old questions. It's like, what species is Yoda? How do Gerudo procreate?
And Naburu turns out to be the desert sage. So now you've got 6 sages. There's
Okay.
one left.
1, 4.
You have Ruta, Saria, Darunia, Rauru, Naburu, and Impa.
Yeah,
That's
so you have
6.
one left. So then you go back to the Temple of Time, where you meet Sheik, who reveals himself as the 7th stage by basically taking off his costume,
Oh,
his disguise,
his disguise.
and reveals himself.
Wait, can you guess?
He's not gonna guess.
Who do you think he is?
Who have we not mentioned at all in this adult timeline?
Zelda.
Yeah.
Yay!
He is Princess Zelda in disguise.
He's a trans.
No,
basically.
he's not.
So wait,
He's not.
He's a cross-dresser.
Yes. He's
So,
pretending to be a boy.
But
Basically,
Princess
so
Zelda,
that-
it's a she. So Sheik is a she.
Yeah.
But Sheik To
He
not
does-
reveal Sheik's identity, we refer to him as he.
Yeah, she hides as Sheik so that Ganon can't find her.
Kind of like how when
Because
Princess Leia infiltrates Jabba's palace, she's dressed as a bounty hunter Bosch, who's actually a guy.
So Ganon needs the three of them together for like maximum power, because Ganon, Zelda, and Link have each been like blessed with a piece of the Triforce.
Because they're reincarnations.
Yes.
So
Ganon's got power, Zelda's got wisdom, and Link's got courage.
So like, Link can't talk,
No.
but
He's
he has courage,
Yes.
but he doesn't have
It's
a
iron.
voice.
vocal cords.
I don't think he ever learned to talk.
That's probably a good assumption.
But none of them can talk.
They can't.
No,
talk.
Zelda and Gandalf can talk.
Well, you
a
know, no,
lot.
but Link,
Like they have
Not
dialogue.
quite a
all
lot.
of all of Link's like
Yeah,
grunts
reincarnations
and
are
screams.
just like right.
So
Yeah.
I think the director spoke on this and said like he kept Link as a silent protagonist to kind of like so you can put yourself in Link, and you know I don't get why, but like basically
But
Link doesn't have a voice, so you can be Link's voice, but there's no way to be Link's voice, so I don't
Like
know.
I sound nothing like yeah.
Well, yeah, that's just Link.
Yeah.
You sound like Ben, and Link is supposed to be Ben.
But Link is Link.
Right. That's why it doesn't make
Don't worry
sense.
about the voice. He doesn't
Okay,
have it.
The voice isn't important.
So Zelda's there. I can't
So
remember.
now Zelda's the Sage of Time.
Yeah.
We have all the sages together. They attack Gandalf. Gandalf,
is defeated. Now this is where
but
things get
only with Link and the
complicated.
Master Sword. So they essentially give Link the power to defeat Gandalf,
Yes.
and he's done. And there's peace and prosperity in Hyrule.
That's how the game
However-
ends. The timeline. This is where it splits
There's three
into three sections.
three different paths.
But
One of which, okay, so at the end of the game, there's a
s-
cutscene with Zelda, and she basically sends you back to the child form so that you can relive your days as a kid.
You know, get the childhood you lost back. You know,
Now, because
but it's
there's
stupid.
time manipulation, as is with movies and TV shows, it causes a lot of problems. So the timeline, you have three sections. One where Link does not win against Ganon. Ganon kills Link. So that's one timeline. That's like a dark path.
It's called the Fallen Hero.
The fallen
timeline.
hero. The second path is when Link succeeds in killing Ganon, and he goes back as a child. That's the child path. And the third one is when he kills Ganon, but stays an adult. So you have two win scenarios and one lose scenario.
And from this point onward,
The rest of the time,
each game fits into one of these different paths. It was, I guess, it was the best way to explain the plot holes.
Yeah.
so
So this is that was about half of the plot line. A good meaty chunk is in the very beginning
Yeah.
and at Ocarina of Time. So
oh my gosh.
we've been talking for a while now, and we have
That's-
not scraped the surface.
Oh my gosh.
We
Ben is
have.
confused.
We
I
scraped a good
we've-
surface.
y-
We
we've-
dug a nice, good 6-foot hole. in
that's
there.
a lot.
However, the timeline goes more than 6 feet.
That's a lot.
Timeline is now going to create
Yeah,
3 more 6-foot holes.
Ben's
That's-
going to be processing this for a good week or
That's
so.
so much. Why would they do that?
Because they're crazy, Ben. But there's more. There's a lot more. And we can get into that.
Oh my gosh.
We'll get into that later.
And a part 2.
We're going to have to make a part 2.
We're making a part 2.
We've been talking for a while.
I am
We've gotten
processing.
to a good point where you can sit and process.
Jeez. That's like so much, you know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like, and I don't know where to process this information. It's just so many names and faces and like other things and other.
It would make more sense if you played the games, so it's gonna be hard to understand.
I'm sure we could.
For
put
curious
together.
viewers at home that know nothing like Ben, it helps to pull up pictures while we're naming
You
these.
know,
Yeah, that would help.
Visual aids.
Impa is kind of
Key.
cute.
Well, this version is.
That version.
There's also old Impa.
Oh, that's disgusting.
really old Impa.
That's disgusting.
There's warrior Impa. There's all kind of Impas.
Anyway. Yeah. So
We're probably gonna. I don't know if this will be the next episode of the podcast we do, but at some point we will come back to this topic
we're gonna come back to it.
and finish explaining it. We'll probably have Hayden back on. We will.
I
have
am a
Hayden back on.
Hyrule historian.
He is a
after all.
Hyrule historian.
You know, and so if you liked what you heard,
This has been less of a thought more of an explanation.
More of an explanation.
It's a lot of
deep
thoughts for Ben.
explanation.
Next episode, I'll be more confused.
Probably.
I feel like
And
this
if
was
we-
more straightforward.
Yeah, if the next episode is the part 2 of this, it may or may not be.
It may.
If it
or may
is, Ben will have a mental breakdown.
not. I probably will, and that's something we're gonna have to deal with.
If it's not, then he gets a recovery period.
And that's something we're gonna have to deal with.
Either way, we're dealing with something.
We're dealing with something.
Yeah.
If you liked what you heard, go and give us a like. We put a lot of.
If you want.
We put a lot of work into these videos.
And you want to.
No.
Yes.
But
you want to like the video.
We don't want you to subscribe. Don't subscribe. That's
No.
disgusting.
If you touch the subscribe button,
We're gonna kill you.
If you want to know when we upload new videos,
That's disgusting.
and you even
why would
think,
you
well,
want that?
why would no?
Who raised you?
Why would you want? Yeah. Why would you
dare
want that?
you.
How dare you? Why would
No,
you
no,
want
The
that?
audacity.
We'll shame you for that.
Yeah. Anyway, just leave a like. We like likes or comments.
Yeah,
I love
leave a comment. If you never want us to talk about this.
Questions are
Questions. That's
encouraged.
a good one.
Leave a
Questions.
comment if you want to tell us about your day or what you had for breakfast. I like hearing food.
Yeah,
Food's
maybe-
pretty good. Or tell us your favorite Zelda game.
Or maybe just a random topic that we can talk about here.
Yeah,
Or maybe you can complain about the fact that Ben does not know anything about Zelda.
that's also pretty great. So I guess this is what we're gonna be ending off with. Just remember.
Yeah, so this was a longer episode.
It was
You
longer.
can probably expect this to be the new normal time.
Before we were kind of just testing the waters.
Yeah.
So
Now
right
we're
now
getting deep into it.
we're getting deep
Because
into
this
it.
is deep thoughts. Not 15-minute talks. I mean thoughts. I'm bad at words.
I'm the wordsmith.
I'm the mathsmith.
He's the math smith. I'm the wordsmith.
And I'm
Hayden's the
just
Hyrule
the
smith.
smith.
He's just Smith.
He's just a smith.
But
So
not a smith.
with
I'm a
our
baronet.
smithy thoughts, we'll leave you and let you leave because
You've been a prisoner this whole time.
we've captured you.
If you somehow clicked off of this and listened to
It'll
something
come
else, we will come back to haunt you.
It'll be back.
But now we will not haunt you. We'll let you go.
So we will just leave you off with that, with your smithy thoughts.
Yeah, stay tuned for next episode and the potential continuation of the Zelda Timeline, whenever that comes out.
Yeah. So love you guys. Thank you for watching.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Adios.
See ya.
Sorbet.
That is a food, then.
It is a food.
You'll get it one day.
I'll get it one day.